4 of the push rod tubes in. Now I'm going to go make some more of the little leather washers for the top. Then I just, after punching them, I just cut them out with a scissors. So I have 4 more of them, that's all I need. Well everyone, I got all the push rod tubes in. My battery went dead on my phone, so I didn't show putting them all in. And then I realized I'm going to have to get this tractor outside before I can put the push rods and rocker arms in, because the ceiling is too low to drop the push rods down in the tubes. When I took it apart, I lifted the heads off with the push rods actually stuck in the guides in the heads. Now to put it together, there's not enough head clearance to drop the push rods in. So I'm going to keep working at the water manifold, the top one first. I'm going to put that on before the intake and exhaust so it's easier to get at. And because the heads were, it has different cylinder, 3 different cylinders, heads were refaced, cylinders refaced. Not all the heads are the exact same height. You can see it's obviously resting on the 2 end ones. So for sure we got to put more gasket in the front here than in the other ones. So I cut a few extra gaskets of various thicknesses, and I'm going to try putting 1 gasket in here first. And as you know, my favorite gasket material is cereal boxes. So I put 1 gasket in there first. I'll drop the manifold on. Well, that took the rock out of it. So I'm going to check how much clearance there is. If there's any clearance, how the feeler gauge fits where the other gasket surfaces are. Well, now I'm working on the top water manifold, because I'll put that on before the exhaust and intake so it's easier to get at. And the way it seemed to fit out work out best for fitting was to have 1 gasket on the rear 3 cylinders and 2 gaskets on the front one. Seems to fit the best. I'm being quite liberal, more than usual, with the sealer around the ports because of pitting in the surfaces. I maybe should have had the water manifolds resurfaced too. I'm quite certain they'll seal up okay. And you see I'm putting the holes in when I put the water manifold on, because it's a straight hose and it might be kind of hard to work in there after a while. And the top water manifold is sitting in place. So now I'll snug this manifold down. I'll do the same thing as I do with other stuff with the silicone. I'll just snug it down, and tomorrow I'll tighten it up after silicone is cured. I'm going to be putting the lower water manifold on. Slide the manifold in place. Same thing, putting the hose on. Would have put the manifold on because it'd be mighty difficult to get in there after a while. Now put the nuts on. Put the nuts on and snug them down. Now I have the lower water manifold all snugged down. Now I'm going to go after the intake and exhaust for the final installation. I don't know about you, but to me it's looking better all the time. So now it's time for intake and exhaust manifold gaskets, and these are what came out. This one would actually be perfectly usable just the way it is. This one would possibly even be, it's kind of bad there, but you can see those two are completely shot on one side. So my plan is to cut these off and use good halves for the exhaust. And then I have this big sheet of this material, which we'll pretend it doesn't have asbestos in it, that I saved when we cleaned out my friend's estate. And I remember cutting gaskets out of this material 50 years ago when I helped them out. So I'll use this material for the intake side. So I'll have equal thicknesses for the exhaust manifold and equal thicknesses for the intake manifold. So I'm going to get at getting those ready. First, I'm going to cut off the bad side of these two. Now I'm going to attempt to make a punch out of this pipe to put in the press to punch a nice hole through my gasket material. Let's see if my punch is going to work. Seems to have worked. I maybe should have squeezed a little harder. I'll try it more on the next one. Now I cut this one against a hardwood block and it cut a real nice clean circle. So I'm going to cut them all on the hardwood block. Now you can see this is how I'm going to put those two pieces in place. I'm going to glue them in place. So here I'm just gluing the gaskets in place. Oh, there. Now we'll go on to the next one. Punching against hardwood works real good, makes a good clean cut. There are two more. Punching them against hardwood makes a nice clean cut. Now I gotta finish trimming them up. I have the Those gaskets glued on, now I'm going to glue them on cylinders number 2 and 4. Alright, now we'll let those gaskets get set up in place. And in the meantime, I'm going to put in the decompression petcocks. So those are in. Here's the rod to connect all 4 of them. Well, I got to clean this pin up to get it in. I got to find a pin for the number 4. But you get the idea. I think I'm going to call that a day. Let those gaskets glue good and tight so they don't move on me when I put the manifolds on in the morning, which should only take a few minutes to put those on. Starting to look a lot more like an engine. Tomorrow I want to finish up in the crankcase with the oil lines, and get the manifolds on, and then I'll start getting ready to pull it outside. So like I said, thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoy it.